Hello, and on the gaming table today we're taking a look at battle number 2 in the Warmaster mini campaign. So battle number 2, we're picking things up where the armies left off after game number 1. So we have the Dark Elves and Chaos, both at 600 points. The Dark Elves recently picked up their unit of Harpies and a banner of shielding for their Dark Riders, and the Chaos recently picked up a unit of Marauder Horsemen. So here's the Dark Elf forces with their Harpies and their banner on their Dark Riders. And here's the Chaos forces with the Marauders on their horses in the back right. Now, rumor has been spreading that there is another Wizard's Tower, perhaps with a basement, it doesn't look very tall, that could contain some more magic items to loot, so both armies are after that. It's located in some more rough ground, lots of terrain around it, so let's take a look at what we have. So here you can see from above, we've got 5 woods, we've got 4 or 5 patches of rough ground there, lots of little hills, a couple of elven waystones, and the tower and a ruined farmstead there. All of the buildings are impassable, everything else is as it looks. So both armies deployed here, the Dark Elves kind of coming out in a fairly relatively traditional sort of setup with their bolt throwers in the middle, blocks of infantry, Harpies at the back, Dark Riders on the right. Chaos, kind of similarly, they went with their brigade again with the Chaos Warriors, Chaos Marauders and Spawn, and then their mobile units on the left. Dark Elves got the first turn, moved most of their infantry up as a block around the bolt throwers there, put the cavalry and the Harpies round to the right, and also taking shelter behind that small hill. So here they are, taking a little bit of cover, but getting ready to engage with the Chaos forces. Chaos, for their part, moved forward their infantry brigade, and at the same time, they swung their cavalry around to the right to try and outflank the Dark Elf line. On turn 2, the Dark Elves moved up their bolt throwers into range to be able to shoot at the Marauder Horsemen on the left of the picture there, and homed back their Harpies into the middle of the field, put their extra unit of spearmen next to them, kept their Dark Riders ready to do some counter-charging. A little bit of shooting from the bolt throwers, put 2 wounds on the Marauder Horsemen, didn't drive them back off the table, and no confusion there. Now, in the Chaos turn, they managed to get off 2 orders with their large block of infantry here, got the Spawn and the Warriors and Marauders in support there, charging in against the Harpies and the Spearmen. Now, while the infantry units won't be able to chase the Harpies from the combat, everything is one combat here, so they will be able to chase the Spearmen. The cavalry moved back round from behind that wood, back round more towards the centre of the field. The Harpies tried to be ordered to drop in behind the combat and block retreats, however they failed their order, so the general just left them hiding behind the wood. After the general moving up himself, we get ready for the combat. Now here the Harpies took a lot of damage from the Warriors. They did manage to do 3 unsaved wounds in return, which wasn't bad, not enough to take out a stand, but the Dark Elves lost the combat here. And in the pursuit here, the Chaos Warriors and the Spawn chased after the Spearmen, and the Marauders took up a fallback defensive position behind the wall. In the second round of combat here, the Spearmen took more damage. They weren't eliminated. Unfortunately, they did no wounds in return. The Spawn continued to chase them back towards the woods, and the Chaos Warriors took up a more defensive position in front of the Harpies. So on the Dark Elf turn, the Dark Elves used their Dark Riders to charge into the Spawn. They want to eliminate that unit and get them one towards the breakpoint for Chaos. They moved their crossbows and spears up behind the wall here. They couldn't get in a good position to charge into the Warriors there, not enough room to maneuver, so they decided to settle for shooting this turn. The bolt throwers moved into a position where they can continue to shoot at those Marauder Horsemen off in the distance. The Harpies also moved here on a failed order. They moved to put themselves in a blocking position against that Spawn. The Dark Elf crossbowmen rained fire down upon the Chaos Warriors, however they inflicted no wounds. 2 wounds were caused on the cavalry over here, driving them back. No confusion again, and again not enough to take off a stand. In the combat, the Chaos Spawn tried mightily to win. It caused 2 wounds, but it lost the combat by 2, and so it was destroyed. Now, the Dark Elves down to 1 stand on that Spearman unit. They pull it back into the woods to keep it out of line of sight, line of charge, get it away from the combat, and the Dark Riders fell back into a position where hopefully they can get more charges next turn. In the Chaos turn, Chaos was able to get off 2 initiative charges to start things here. The Warriors initiative charged into the Harpies, and the Marauders initiative charged into the Dark Riders. Then the Harpies homed back, and the General ordered them into a position behind the Dark Elf Harpies, just in case those Warriors don't kill them off. Then the Harpies will have no line of retreat. The Marauder Horsemen then charged with 2 orders and managed to make it all the way into the Bolt Throwers. The Bolt Throwers did 3 wounds, stand and shoot, so that took down a stand of Marauders. But yeah, things might still be hard for those Bolt Throwers, even though they count as defended, being on the hill there. And in the combat, unfortunately, the Bolt Throwers did take 2 wounds and caused none in return. So even though the Marauders lost combat by 1 and had to draw back, the Bolt Throwers are down a stand, and their fallback move was very, very small, didn't allow them to get out of the way, really. So they decided to just stand there and take the next charge. Over here, the Chaos Warriors made short work of the Harpies, and then they fell back. And the Marauders did quite a lot of damage to the Dark Riders. The Dark Riders, trusting in their banner of shielding, unfortunately saved none of the hits and took 5 wounds, so that was pretty disastrous. After the Dark Riders had fallen back, the Marauders put themselves into a position here where they're in defended status and their flanks are kind of covered by the Harpies behind them. So for the Dark Elves, things are looking a little bit grim. On the right here, they charge in with the Dark Riders into those Marauders. They've got to try something here. And then as a second move, they try to get the Spearmen round 2 orders into the flank of those Marauders as well. The first order goes off and they get into this position. However, the second order, they needed an 8 and they rolled an 11. So unfortunately, they don't get to charge in. Here, the Bolt Throwers did some shooting at the Marauder Cavalry. This time, unfortunately, no wounds caused. The Crossbowmen managed to get 2 wounds onto the Harpies here and drove them back into the combat, which confused them. Now the Dark Riders down here, even though they managed to get 5 of their 6 hits in against the defended Marauders here, did manage to lose this combat by 1 at the end of the day. They had to fall back a centimetre, and then the Marauders moved into a position over here where they can charge them in the flank next turn. And so that's what they did. They charged into the flank over there. The Marauder Horsemen charged into the Bolt Thrower, did 1 wound on stand and shoot. And then the Chaos Warriors were ordered to charge into the Dark Riders. If the Chaos Forces can take out the Dark Riders and the Bolt Thrower, that's enough for the Dark Elves to reach their breakpoint. So the Bolt Thrower duly fell, and so did the Dark Riders. Not much they could do there, their banner failing to save any of the hits against them once again. And so the Dark Elf army at this point breaks, and Chaos claims victory and can claim the spoils of the Wizard's Tower. Now, after the battle, we do the 100 points for each side, and you have to buy a unit each, and the winner, Chaos in this case, gets their 15 points for magic items. The Dark Elves decide they need more hitting power, so they spend their 100 points plus 30 of their saved points to buy a unit of Cold One Knights, and that raises their breakpoint to 4. Chaos picks up a cheap unit of Chaos Hounds and saves all of their other points. They must be saving up for something big in a future round. So I hope you found Battle 2 interesting. I'll get Battle 3 out when I play it some stage in the near future. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.